Hello, everybody. Welcome to a bit of a reunion here we've got going. All things Halifax Rugby League. Some legends on your screen. I'm Pete Emett. We'll talk you through everything. I've got to get a minute Pete before he gets a minute me. I'm sure he's going to give me some grief along the way. We've got on the screen, I'm sure you know all these guys. They look a little bit older now, though, so best just make sure. We've got Gary Mercer, Damian Gibson, Marty Moana, and Jim Gannon. Gents, welcome. How are you all?
Good, thanks, Matty.
Good, Matt. Thanks.
Good, thanks, Matt. I'm a little bit disappointed. I'm the only one that's actually got dressed up for the occasion. I'm sure you guys actually remember this shirt. Widely regarded as the worst one in Halifax history, I think.
That was the first kit I ever wore for Halifax. That one.
Crazy, showing your age there. It's actually a fun fact this as well because Gary will like this. This is.
Oh, mate, awesome! I like this one as well. Look.
Oh, he's got one there.
There, look.
Oh, brilliant!
I'm auctioning that one off.
I got
the Gary Mercer Fund.
The Gary Mercer. Actually, this is apparently match worn, which depresses me because I remember you being a big bloke, and it actually fits me quite well. So it's I got it off eBay from Krakow. So whether it's match worn or not, I don't actually know. But it was the best £5 I ever spent. Gibbos were a tenner, so you weren't valued very highly. Clearly, Gary.
Matt, you've started off a bit creepy, to be honest, mate. I was thinking it's not like Love Island, this where you try to team up in person.
These are all my heroes, mate, and I'm sure for many people watching, I were 5-6-year-olds watching these guys play, and I thought they were great. Well, Jim were average, but I thought rest awesome. So I'm in awe. I'm absolutely chuffed to be here. Gibbo's claim to fame is that I keep for my favourite players growing up.
I remember watching Gary and Marty when I was 5 and 6 year old.
Hey, Gary, on a serious note, I was speaking to Gibbo before we came on, and he said that he used to get really wound up playing with you because you ran more metres across the pitch than you actually did going forward. Is that unfair or not?
Yes, I was renowned as the crab, unfortunately. I was just trying to find some holes there because I knew when I run straight, I didn't have enough strength to get through. So it's really, on the back of that, really worked when I was at Leeds Rhinos because I had Kevin Ira and Craig Innes, two great centres. So I was really looking for some real good centres at Halifax coming through on that, but they never caught up with me and never got the end of those offloads. But yeah, no, it was good. Yeah, it was. Listen, it's great to be involved here. It's been a long time. Good to see you, Gannon. I see that the sun's still shining down down under. Where are you living now, Sydney?
No. I live in Halifax still, mate.
You still in Halifax? Jeez.
Yeah, still in Halifax.
And Trevor, Marty, did you get that wasp?
Yeah, bro. Good.
Is there a story behind that we don't know about?
The wasp. He's been stung by it. Look at the size of him.
I'm with you. That's cool. That's cool. But I'm sure we've got plenty more exchanges. Jim,
Very
what are you up to nowadays, Jim?
I work in IT. I'm an infrastructure engineer for a company in Huddersfield. So yeah, pretty mundane living, but yeah, it pays the bills.
Not quite rugby then.
No. I was involved a little bit with Halifax when I finished playing in the reserves and under 20s, but just they pulled the pin on the reserves and just started getting a bit more involved with the kids rugby teams at Siddle and just sort of not lost interest, but just focused on that. Now both my boys are in one's at Leeds and one's at Warrington, so there's plenty of time taken up watching them over the weekends. So it's good. Yeah, can't complain.
I mean, you've all done some great things while since you're playing days, Gibbo. You've done a lot of charitable things. You've helped a lot of people out with your fitness regimes. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about that? Because you're still, you are Mr. Halifax, aren't you? You still walk around getting people to buy you beers wherever you can.
Oh, mate, I don't have many beers these days. Never could drink at the best of times, but don't drink much at all these days. Mate, since retiring, I went into coaching for a while professionally, and now I've got my own fitness business, DG OzFit. I'm really enjoying that. I'm based at Calverdale College. I do quite a bit of work for the college. I also work at Rishworth School, which is really enjoyable. And I do have the pleasure of coaching a lot of young fellas trying to make their way into professional rugby. So yeah, I'm really enjoying business. I'm doing a bit of work for the BBC with you on the odd occasion, mate, which is really good to keep me current in rugby. And always nice to get away and watch a bit of rugby and meet some of the boys again I haven't seen for a while, like we're doing today.
Marty, you're working at Sky Sports, aren't you?
Yeah, I do a bit of work for Sky Sports, mate. Just do all the live stats stuff. It's good though, it's fun. Hopefully. Yeah, it keeps me busy, keeps me out of trouble, mate. But my main sort of job now is sort of look after kids and care.
Okay.
I've been doing that since I retired, so it's coming up now 10, 11 years now. I'm enjoying that.
Gary, you went to the dark side, didn't you? Rugby union. What were? Did you know your career were over when you had to go there?
No, listen, when did I leave? I left Halifax in 2000, and then I went to Castleford. I went to Warrington, played at Warrington, 16 games, and then I went to Leeds, didn't I? So I retired at Leeds after 6 games. Then went to Castleford Tigers for 3 years. It didn't work out too well there. Unfortunately, I was involved in the relegation of Castleford Tigers, I think it was 2004 season. And then I went rugby union in 2005 with Glasgow Warriors up in Scotland. So I did 7 seasons with them, which was very, very good and really enjoyable. They're working with Scottish Rugby. And then I worked in a school previous here in Glasgow with Calvinside Academy as within the PE department doing rugby, and now I'm actually back down in Harrogate, funny enough. So I'm down at a college called Ashfield College in Harrogate. So I'm there as head of rugby. So I'm there at this present time. But obviously at this present time I'm here in Glasgow, isolated here with my lovely wife. So it's been very, very good.
And Pete, we all know what you're doing. Everyone's laughing at you, or with you, I should probably say. You're on what?
I'm on dole. I'm not working anymore. I don't know what to do.
Well, how have you kept yourself entertained? I saw you put something funny on Twitter. It might have been a few years ago now. I can't remember. But
you're on form today, aren't you?
I'm trying. I know that you're going to get me eventually. So I've got to get them in every which way I can.
No, I just keep myself busy, really. Go for walks, do some. I've got a dog, so I'll do some jobs in garden. This is really interesting, this, isn't it? I'm not really doing myself any favour here for my comedy career, am I?
Well, let's move it on because I know that we've all got many funny tales to tell. Gary, let's start with you. I mean, what fantastic memories, weren't there, back in the day? Some great teams, some great characters, a few of them on the screen with us. What are your fondest memories of your time at Halifax?
To be brutally honest, I mean, I come to Britain way back in 1987 with Bradford Northern. I signed with them way back then. And then I had 2 short stints with them, went home, played a bit of rugby in New Zealand, made New Zealand. We got 21 caps from New Zealand, which is pretty good for me, to be fair. I mean, I wasn't one of the better players internationally wise, but I think I made it more so through work rate. And that was something that I installed with my boys whenever I was coaching or whenever I was playing with players, that, work rate's really important. And I think that's what put me up in front in that respect. And then obviously, professional career, 16 seasons, which was really enjoyable. And now I'm obviously giving something back to the younger generation. I'm quite privileged that my son's playing well now, and he's now involved. We're down at Bath Rugby. He's been there a while now, Zach. And I remember Zach, as a little kid in Gibbo, I know Zach really well. Marty knows him, and Gannon. I mean, he was a little rugrat many years ago when he was I think he was only about 3 or 4 when I was playing for Halifax. But he's done really well. Played at Old Broadlands in Halifax for a few years in the junior section. And then we moved him up to Glasgow way back in 2005. He went private school for a bit up there, got exposed, I think, with rugby union, big good rugby school mixed in Castle in Edinburgh, and then obviously got picked up from Bath Rugby then. So he's done really well. I'm really proud. And also my daughter's doing really well as well, Clara. She's now a qualified dentist. So obviously she's got her brains from her mother more than anything. So she's doing really well, yes.
Would she go with Matt's teeth Any chance
Sorry?
to sort Matt's teeth out, like changing from like Magnolia to Brilliant White?
There's absolutely no way that you can sort my buck teeth out. Not a chance. Not a chance. I've given up on that a long time ago. Might be able to sort yours out though, T.
I've none left. Plastic.
We back in the day, I think everyone remembers the Weavers, don't they? Many a pint was drank down there. So if Gibbo was the worst drinker, who was the best drinker in the team?
Oh, Trevor. Marty, you were pretty good.
Who's Trevor?
It wasn't me. I'll rule myself out straight away. I was on par with Gibbo most of the time.
Oh, please, Jim was better than
That's
you.
how bad I was.
I do recall a number of occasions when we were down a place called Club de Santa, which is in Lanzarote. We couldn't find Marty one evening. We wondered where he was. And I think there's a nightclub hidden away down in a dark alley somewhere on the complex. We're trying to find Marty. We couldn't find him. So we had a few beers in the bar, and then we shot down to this nightclub downstairs. Remember it, Gibbo?
I don't think I went there, but
Yeah, you went there, mate. I went down
He
there.
probably doesn't remember it.
I says, Marty, what are you doing behind the bar? And the barman turned to me and says, no, his name's not Marty. It's called Trevor. I says, Trevor. So it was fantastic. I just thought it was brilliant. Marty's got in there, told him his name was Trevor, and next minute the barman's all over him. So he's getting free beer all night.
What was it like playing back then, Marty? I mean, my God, some of the blokes you ran against that I'd be stepping out of the way, to be honest, you included. What was it like playing with and against all these legends?
Yeah, it was pretty awesome, really. Yeah, there's a lot of guys we played against, legends in the Great Britain game. I remember watching Ming when I was like 11, 12 years old, and he was playing for New Zealand. And I think he played in a World Cup game, maybe against Australia at Eden Park. I think Ming was on the wing, I think then.
No, I played fullback that day.
Fullback, yeah. And he let like 5 tries in. Honestly.
I didn't have one of my better games, I must admit. I think I missed 3 good tackles. Alan Langer, I think, so it wasn't good.
Yeah, I remember him as a youngster, as a teenager coming through, and obviously years passed by, and then we got to 98, and then obviously Ming come over from Leeds, and we had some good times. Played against some good players at all the other clubs. And then we got the Aussie contingent coming. Gibbo come over. Well, Leeds didn't want him, so they sent him to Halifax. And then Jim come over. And I always remember first sort of weekend Jim come over. Had me boys, you see him wandering behind me, had his birthday. And Jim come up for a barbecue. And that night, he was staying at a hotel at the bottom of Halifax there. No one could find him. He ended up in the gutter on the side of the road somewhere.
in a car park.
Yeah, in a car park. And so good memories, especially with these guys.
That is true.
Yeah.
I was so excited to get out that night that I think we were playing Megsy, weren't we, Marty, with the dice?
Silly drinking games.
And yeah, I think I lasted about 10 minutes in town, and then I was in a taxi on the way home, even though I only lived in
Marty's
the bottom of town.
They changed every throw of the dice, didn't they?
There wasn't any rules.
Yeah, answer to your question, Matt. Yeah, we played with some good blokes. Halifax had some good bunch of boys in, and even the guys we played against, some legends of the game. Ellery Hanleys, those sort of guys.
Yeah.
Gibbo's best mate, Gary Schofield. Yeah. Hey, Gibbo.
That's it.
Jim, you were always fancied yourself as a bit of an enforcer, didn't you? Like throwing your weight about. Was there anyone you ever regretted getting into a bit of a scrap with?
No, not at all. I mean, I think, like most things, I think you play to your strengths. I mean, I was never fast or big or strong, really. So I had to sort of try and make up for it in other ways. And one of them was getting stuck into the opposition and, usually picking out a couple of their key players and trying to put them off their game. If I could do that, then, it'd give the rest of the boys a chance, guys like Gibbo and Marty and Ming and that, the chance to, turn on some points. So, that was one of my strengths. And I loved it. I look back on my career and, they're those physical battles with guys like Stuart Fielden and Barry McDermott, Brian McDermott, Big Blue. You know, they were. You know, they were battles. You know, there was obviously a lot of stuff that be let go by the referees back in the day, and you could get away with a bit more stuff, and obviously you'd cop a bit more stuff as well. But I think it was mutually, agreed on that was just the way it went. There was no hard feelings. It was after the game, you know, there'd be a beer bought and a chat. So there was no grudges held, but it was hell for leather on the field, that's for sure.
And,
Can I just jump in, Matt?
Of course you can. you might as well do something while you're here. Go on.
I'm thinking that, yeah. Jim, you mentioned there you did like the physical side of the game, and you mentioned a few players there that you enjoyed tussling with. Gibbo was always game on, and he got involved in a couple of skirmishes as well. I remember him being a bit of an enforcer when he was playing for Leeds against Bradford Bulls when he took on Brian McDermott. And I've still got the video. I slowed it down before I came on here. And Gibbo actually headbutted his fist 7 times in 4 seconds. Did you pick up any fighting tips from Gibbo back in the day?
I don't think it would have lasted long if I'd have fought like Gibbo on the field.
Was it an enjoyable experience, that Gibbo?
Thanks for bringing that up, Pete. He was a very good fighter, though. But you know what? I put myself, in line for the boys. I'm selfless like that.
Yeah, it's all right, Gibbo. I'm on having a joke. You don't have to get all serious.
I don't believe that you put yourself in the way because you didn't want your looks to be ruined. You were out on the pull every week, weren't you?
Well, I didn't have any looks to worry about, so I was all right with that one.
Oh, Gibbo.
Hey, Gary, you had a fantastic career.
Thank you.
But throughout your career, would you say a career highlight was being able to play with Jim Gannon?
Well, just to jump on the back of what Jim was saying, I think the chemistry of the side in '98 was fantastic. We had some real quality players. Durneman was involved. We had Flo, we had Goldspink. And the great blend of players we had, inexperienced young lads. I forget that was it Daryl Curtis, the fullback we had there one year.
No, they weren't. They were later, but Durneman
were they later?
wasn't in '98 either. Durneman came in '99.
99, yeah.
Was Durneman '99?
It was.
But even so,
clinch the pinch, wasn't it?
Yeah, Gavin Clinch, that's right. So Clinchy and Chesney were there, weren't they? Chris Chester, and then they went to Wigan, and then we brought in Flo and Goldspeak the following year, if I recall. But the first year with John Pendlebury was brilliant. I really enjoyed John Pendlebury. We had a nickname for him. I hope he's not listening. 10 Heads, because we didn't know what personality we were going to get. All I do recall quite a few times going up to Thrum for training, and I'm going, "Where's Gibbo?" And I don't know. So I'll go see John Pendlebury, just talk about the game or something. I walk in there, open the door, they're on the ground wrestling. I said, "What are you doing?" I said, "You have to wrestle the bloody coach to get picked this week." And he goes, No, we're just having a wrestle. And do you remember that, Gibbo? I just thought it was brilliant.
I had all the carpet with the Halifax emblem on it up at Thrum Hall, and I used to remember he'd had me head rubbing down on that, and there'd be desks flying everywhere, and that was like our ritual every week. There'd be tables flying, chairs flying. I didn't win too many. No,
I just think John Pendlebury was fantastic signing for us with David Hobbs, and they brought me from Leeds, and I had another year to run at Leeds. I was had a '98 season with Leeds, signed up, and I just sent to Gary Hetherington. I said, "Look, I need a new challenge. I need to go somewhere," and I knew I had a few conversations with David Hobbs saying that Halifax are keen to recruit and really make an effort this year in '98 season. So I thought, well, geez, that's a new challenge for me. I really enjoyed it with working with Rhino. Carl Harrison, fantastic captain, great leader, and then we just blended the side really, really well with John Pendlebury. And I have to give Steve Walsh a mention as well, because I'm sure if he's listening to this. But Walsh did a fantastic job, I thought, over those 3 years where he got us really, really fit. And in '98, we had probably Halifax's best season for a long time. I think we finished 3rd in the league that year.
Yeah. Pete, what are your best memories of watching these boys, other than Gibbo taking on McDermott?
Strange coming on here and seeing them all, really, because it was probably, my sort of first memory, my finest memories are probably sort of 85 to 87, watching Halifax. I was sort of a young lad. And then the next phase when we had a good team with these guys. So, and it's sort of been strange getting to know a lot of them as well, really. So I know I have a bit of banter, but it's funny. You watch them on terraces and then you get to know him. It's a bit of a strange feeling, really. And Gibbo's been a real good friend over the years. Probably when I look at this screen, he's probably not the best player that I'm looking at, but he's really great lads underneath it all as well. Very competitive streak. And Gibbo, when we do our kicking games, New South Wales against Queensland, if you lose, he's a very, very bad loser.
Yeah.
Very bad drinker as well. I know you mentioned this earlier. I was down the Share once and I'd not seen Gibbo for a while. And he came down and I arranged to have a night in after the game with my wife. She got that Marks and Spencer's meal for two, £9. So we pushed out candles and everything. And Gibbo said, "Oh, you coming out for a beer, Pete?" I says, "I can't, mate. I've arranged to stay in with wife." And Halifax had won. I was in a good mood. He says, "Oh, come on, mate, we'll go out." So, and I told Tracy I'm going to go out with Gibbo. She was fine with it. She didn't speak to me for 7 weeks, but she was fine with it at the moment. I went out with Gibbo and Mick Potter. And I'd never met Mick Potter before. And we went up to the pub up Shelf. I got 3 pints of Carling. I had to pay for them. I went back to the table and Gibbo fell asleep and didn't wake up for 2 hours. So I just sat talking to Mick Potter for 2 hours thinking I should have been at home with me meal for two. Quite a romantic night with Gibbo that way though.
Gibbo, how did you survive in a team with Carl Harrison? Because I've never seen a bloke work a room like him when it comes to beers. He'll go around everyone, tell a story, but he demands a pint. I've never seen anything like it in my life. He must have killed you on nights out.
Oh, mate, they did. We had a very, very good side full of drinkers, and that sort of I just stayed in the background and tried to drink as little as I could and get away with it. So, but then Marty would start on the shots all the time, so that's when I got into trouble.
What were your choice of shot, Matt?
Oh, mate, anything goes sort of thing. Got a story about Gibbo, though, drinking. He got that good at it. He used to go out by himself and he used to buy 2 drinks. And people used to come up to him around Halifax that knew him. Go, "Oh, you waiting for someone?" He goes, "Oh, that's me mate's drink." But he used to just buy 2 and put it next to him, sit in the bar all by himself and just go out. Honestly. And then if he wasn't around with you, we'd go, take his beer to the toilet, it'll be empty. And then come back, he's got about 3 or 4 left on the table. Could not drink to save himself.
Gibbo, I think it's only right you defend yourself here.
Professional athlete, mate. You know, I knew training was the next day. I wanted to be fresh and ready to go. Keep my time as the fittest player. So, you know, obviously drinking wasn't at the top of my priorities.
that 98 season, you had some big games. Everyone still talks about it now. There was a reunion not too long ago. Jim, what are your fondest memories of that year in particular in 98?
Well, I don't have any memories of 98 because I wasn't here. I come over when the wheels fell off.
So you come over in 99?
99, yeah. July 99 I came over.
So we know to blame now. Nice one.
Yeah, well.
Marty,
the SOS was sending out.
Marty, I'll throw it to you then. What are your greatest memories of that fantastic year?
Yeah, 98. I think, like Moon said, I think it all starts pre-season. I think when we got the group of boys together, didn't know what was going to happen, but we went to Lanzarote to Lausanne to do pre-season training. And I think it sort of started there. I think just the bond, camaraderie, sort of there was loads of boys that, that were just, every night we were out having a few drinks and stuff and socialising and a bit of team bonding stuff and some of the stuff that went on early doors. Now, Gibbo's got a few stories, I'm sure he'll tell you. But, it was, I think that's where it started. And then we went into the pre-season games. We sort of snowballed from there, really. We sort of built a bit of momentum in the pre-season. Halfback partnership was good. The forwards, we had a big pack then. We had all our Carl Harrison, Calvin Skerritt was there. We had me and Desi Clark in the back row, Carl Gillespie. So the pack was quite good and good workers. The loose forward was good too. I can't think who that was, but he was pretty good. So we'd set the platform with our forwards, and I think our backs were good enough to finish. We had Mr. Gibson at the back, and he finished a lot of tries with his speed and stuff.
Freddie
scored some tries.
Freddie ran over about 4 blokes every time he got the ball.
Yeah, Freddie Tuolungi. We had him. It was him and Dio Powell, 2 big wings. Then we had the likes of Pearson and Jamie Bloom that sort of come off the bench and sort of added a bit more firepower to our back line. Yeah, it was good. And I think, like I say, it started from pre-season. That momentum sort of rolled. I think we won maybe about 12 on the trot. I think off the bounce, on the bounce, something like that.
No one sort of expected any of it, did they? Like, we were all relatively unknown, and probably the thing that I remember most jumping in there, it was how hard training was. It was Pengy was very tough, very old school, and I remember going into training on a Tuesday, and he would just throw these contact suits at us, and we'd have a 30-metre corridor, if you boys remember. And it was just forwards v backs, and it was just built the hell out of each other. You were literally shoulder to shoulder, and you'd be nothing to get stitches or your nose broken at training, and that happened on a regular occurrence. And you just built the hell out of each other for 20 to 30 minutes. But defensively, he just had that mentality that we weren't going to be beaten. Everyone was just hard as, and it was just training. You knew when he threw those suits at you, it was going to be a tough physical session, which often ended in the boys, throwing punches at each other at times, but that's the way it was. And you knew John would say, just let him go for 5 minutes, and then you'd stop and shake hands and we'd be back at it again. But it was tough, and we took that mentality into the games with us. I didn't, but the boys didn't.
The other thing is that, like a local haunt here, Shibden Park, that place was a killer.
Hills,
We'd run up those hills, and Steve Walsh, we called him Pigsy. If he's watching this, that was his nickname. Great bloke. He used to flog us up there. There was one day, probably the 30 of us running up. By the end of the session, there's probably only 3 standing. Guys were just like on the ground. That was it. Came over. Couldn't move for like an hour. Couldn't even drive home.
I remember Broadbent, where he came in his first session, and he said, "Oh, look, I've played for Great Britain. I've done this, I've done that." He says, "Mate, I'm all right with hills. I'm a professional." By the end of it, he couldn't even walk. Well, could he? Do you remember that session where he gave us a speech? He said, "Look, I know what I've been doing. Been doing this my whole career. I can handle anything you throw at me. Been the top of the game." Anyway, he ended up getting carried off Shibden, I think.
Yeah.
I think that would have been the 3 standing who were the fittest at that time. Besides being, obviously.
I was the fittest, by far.
Yeah. That was reflected in Gary as well. I could see that.
I think in this year, 99, when Gannon was there with Durnham, I think Durnham was probably one of the fittest players I've ever played with.
He was
pretty
a bit
fit.
of a freak, wasn't he? He was very diet conscious and always counted his calories, and he was sort of ahead of the game in that respect. That was before that sort of professionalism sort of started to come in, really.
Well, funny enough for that, Jim, just jump on the back of Andrew Durnham, but I remember in 1997 I was with Leeds Rhinos and we went and played the Queensland Cowboys. And Durnham was playing for the Cowboys and that's where we signed him from. And I come back and I said, mate, you got to get this guy, because I think we lost Chesney and Clinchy, if I recall, to Wigan. And I said, look, this guy, Andrew Durnham, mate, unbelievable. So that's where we got him the following year, because he was just fantastic in 97 when I played against him. But for Andrew Durnham, for somebody with the fitness levels he had, but also being able to run a game, read a game, tough tackle, jeez. Never known a guy he wasn't big in stature, but he just had a massive heart and a massive engine, and he took never went backwards, always went forward, and always, he's quite a funny character, to be fair. I remember being we went to Jacksonville one year. Well, twice we went, didn't we? We went 2 years. I think the second year I lost my passport, didn't I? And me and Goldie went to Washington to get my passport so I could fly home. But the first year, I think we sort of having a few drinks, and he was quite a different character when he was drinking.
Jekyll and Hyde.
He certainly was.
He could throw a ball as well, couldn't he, Gary? I mean, he could
Yeah.
throw a ball 40 yards wide. He passed the ball as much as you would run sideways.
Yes, he did. And to be fair to Andrew, he come over there, and what he does, if he gets an opportunity to produce the goods, he produced the goods again for us in '98. I think the Rhinos signed him through the early 2000s, and he was fantastic for Leeds Rhinos as well. So he's a quality player.
And Jim, you were going to butt in when everyone would talk about '98. I don't know what you were going to add, but
I was just going to say about talking about that sort of the camaraderie and the boys getting together and having that sort of us and them sort of mentality, and I think that definitely carried on from when I first came over. I mean, that's sort of my fondest memories of Halifax, of just the bond that we had as a group of players. When I was there, we were sort of middle of the pack performance wise, but if we had a night out, people had come from, we had a fair contingent from across the Pennines and that, and they'd always come out. Everybody would turn up for a team do, or it just had that real sort of, even though it was a small club, it just had a really tight vibe. And I think everybody sort of, everybody that I've spoken to about Halifax says they always look back with sort of fond memories of their time there. It's not just a club that sort of was thrown away as, I went there for a couple of years and that was it sort of thing. Everybody's still keeps in touch, or just has good things to say about the time, even though we probably weren't as successful as what we probably would have wanted to be. Obviously 98 being the exception to that year.
How close do you reckon you came to that grand final win, boys? You weren't far off, were you?
I can't recall the game. We were away at Leeds, was it? I think, was it Leeds, and we lost that game there?
Yeah, because you'd absolutely hammered them, hadn't you, in the regular league game?
That's right.
Season, then played them in the playoffs, and then I think lose to Saints after narrowly at the Shea. Was it 37-30, something on those lines? Right.
Okay. I can't recall, but I do. Well, I can recall '98. It was for a real good season. I think of all my years playing professional in the UK, I think that was, and just jumping on what Jim was saying, is the camaraderie within the group, the playing group, and the coaches as well. And I think that was really important for us in '98, certainly.
And Pete, what are your fondest memories of that? They were talking about the team dues. I bet you were a part of that, trying to give him some grief and get some beers off the boys.
I weren't actually a groupie back then. I just kind of wormed my way in a few years after that, but as a bit of a kind of creep, really. You know what I mean? I was usually in Plymouth Line drunk, and occasionally I went over and chatted to some of these guys, but I didn't really know them. They just kind of helped me stay on my feet, really.
It's very nice to know.
Yeah.
Very nice to know. Well, we'll wrap it up soon, boys. But just in passing, I think Jim sort of alluded to it there. Fantastic club. Everyone has great memories. Is it fair to say as well that you have got bonds for life now? It seems like now, just being on this group chat, you're still nattering away and bantering away at each other like you would have done all those years ago. Is there that sort of relationship between the group even now?
Yeah, I think it is. It's massive. It's a family club at Halifax, and as testament to it, most of us who have come here, a lot of us have stayed here. Myself, Jim, Marty, we've been here for a long time now, so we love the place. Ever since I got here, I've enjoyed every moment of it. Just not just from the boys there. It was also the crowd, the fans that you had every week in, week out, were great. I remember playing up at Thrum Hall. You could more or less touch them. When Gary used to run sideways, you could more or less high-five the people on the sideline. They were that close. And then even the staff. I mean, Ned, Cov, Stan, Hilda, Sarah, everyone right across the whole staff. It was just a proper family that used to go into the offices and chat to them, and Mick Scott, and it was just had a great vibe about it. And I still have good ties with all those people now and all the boys. And I spoke with Gav Clinch this morning, and always look back with fond memories. I love Halifax, and as a result, I've stayed here still now.
No, Gibbo, I'll just jump in there. I know you had your testimonial, didn't you, many years ago, and I came along to that. I did a This Is Your Life for you. It was brilliant chatting to all your colleagues and finding out your kind of life story. I didn't know you that well back then. And then Jim Gannon, you had a testimonial as well. I know it's not a competition, but there were 288 yours, Gibbo, and 297 at yours, Jim. How much did that mean to you? In Halifax?
No, I'll just reiterate what Gibbo said. You know, you do have it's got that small town feel about it, which makes it feel like family. You know, even with the fans and stuff like that, you get to know, you know, the fans and, you know, the kit men and the backroom staff, and, you know, it's just a nice place to be. You know, they sort of, everybody had expectations, but it was, you know, you knew they were with you when things weren't going as well as what they could have been. So, you know, it's yeah, I look back on Halifax as one of my favourite clubs for sure.
No, lovely. Marty, rounding up.
Yeah, same for me, Matt. I think Halifax is my home now, and like the boys already said, in this game of rugby league, you meet some fantastic people, and you've got mates for life. You know, we met the likes of Pete and of yourself, Matt. You know, those sort of guys in this game is absolutely fantastic, and it is, yeah, friends for life. My family are here now. All my kids are Halifax born and bred, so they're Yorkshire born and bred, and I think I love the place really. I don't think I'll ever go home to live, but maybe one day. And then, you know, you sort of bump into friends and stuff when you're out around town and going out doing shopping and stuff, and, you know, fans still come up and say hello, and it's just a nice feeling.
When's the next reunion? When's the next reunion, Gary? You need to organise this, because you're the. Yeah, well, you left the town, unlike anyone else in this chat. You went to the wrong sport, the wrong code. You've got some making up to do, really.
Listen, all I want to say with Halifax Rugby League, I really enjoyed my time there. Like I said, I'm just speaking with Marty and Gibbo and Gannon just about the camaraderie we had. I think I was blessed to play with some great players, especially at Leeds Rhinos when I did my 7-8 years there. But then to come away from there and then come to a club that was sort of in disarray a little bit. You know, that first year in '98 we weren't too bad, but after that '99, you know, the club was losing money. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things happening there, and so for me to go to a club, and then the players, I think, brought that club together. I think the players are credit to themselves. You know, Jim coming over from Australia, Doonas, Goldspink, Florimo. And I do recall, I think the biggest memory for me was Greg Florimo when he had his last game at the Shea, and he put his boots down at halfway. And I was right beside him, and I just broke down in tears because I felt for him, because he was such a quality player, was Greg. You know, played for Australia, played some great rugby right throughout his career. And I think that was sort of like, well, that's life. You know, he's now going to go into a different era, and I knew mine was coming very soon as well. So it was quite an emotional time that year, to be fair, in '99. And then I got a neck injury, and I think I was out for a good 4 to 5 months with my neck. And then the club was just really supportive of, you know, with my neck injury. And then I come back after that, and then JP unfortunately left the club, and then I took over as player coach. And that year as player coach, we had Martin Hall on board with me, like Steve Walsh, I think Stephen Lanine come over. And then, you know, it was just a different era for me as a player coach, and I knew you had to produce the goods, otherwise, you know, you couldn't just keep picking yourself. So I hope to think, you know, those are the challenges and the memories I remember of Halifax. Great club, great people, and a great little town.
Go on, Pete. I'll let you off the last laugh, because.
That just when I was at that game when Greg Florimo put his boots on halfway, and like you say, Gary, it was just really emotional. It took me back to my own playing career. I played at Illingworth, and I was 19 years old, and my dad got me to take my boots and take them to the side at pitch and put them there, and he said, don't bother playing again. Just kind of a bit emotional anyway, but brought back similar memories for me, that, Gary. So cheers for that story, pal.
Pete, you might remember this, and he's not on this chat, but didn't Jamie Bloom do exactly the same? Put his boots on halfway, because he thought it was going to be his final ever game, and then Halifax got in the playoffs. It must have been in the championship at this point, and he had to play another game anyway. So he went, put his boots on halfway, went off crying, tears and everything, and then played again anyway. Just wanted the love.
Practicing it for the big finale.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm not making that up. I'm sure that we can ask him about it. But gents, on a serious note, thank you so much for joining us. It's great to see you all. Great to see you're all well, fit and healthy. You too, Pete. All the best, Care, and I'm sure we'll see each other again soon.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, guys.
Take care, boys.
Thanks all.